I'm Kelsey Zeiser. We're here at the Big 5G event in Denver. I'm joined by Derek Peterson, CTO of Boingo. It's good to see you, Derek.
It's great to be here. Great to see people in person.
I know,
awesome.
Yeah, I'm like remembering how to interact with people again.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Right, yeah. Aside from my dog.
and getting dressed, right?
Exactly, yeah. How much do I need to iron?
Yeah.
But glad to have you here today. We'd love to hear an update on Boingo's work around 5G, what you're doing around 5G deployments. So what's new there?
You know, we've been deploying the 5G deployments for the carriers for a long time, and it's been great. We're starting to see new technology come out that allows us to be a little bit more flexible. So there's some new antennas we're playing with now that allow it, instead of it just being in a specific area where you just focus in that energy in certain areas along an airport or in certain areas, it actually has a wider range. And so we're starting to see some cool developments in 5G that we're experimenting with. And I think it's exciting to be thinking about the use cases, the experiences, and the vision that these venues have that we work with. Instead of just saying, hey, we want connectivity, it's really, how do we get that connectivity that we want?
Right, and you all have been providing connectivity in airports for a while, which I have to say I appreciate, being in Raleigh and being able to access that while I'm waiting for my flight. And I believe you're doing some new applications around some contactless applications at airports. Can you tell me more about what's going on there?
Yeah, all the airports are trying to figure out how they do this digital transformation for touchless travel. So I'll be talking about it here at the 5G network. It's also a part of the virtual thing that people can watch. But the key thing is, as they are starting to think about people coming back to the airports, they're thinking, how can we monitor to make sure that people are safe? How do we communicate with them? Because we're changing things up. And then also, how do we do these touchless experiences? So we're really focused in on those use cases with the airports and trying to figure out how to use technology to help create this environment that they need post-pandemic.
Yeah, that's
hopefully
great.
Post, right?
Right, yeah. And I mean, I had a touchless check-in with TSA, and it took me a minute to kind of get used to it, but that was really nice.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from that. What else is new in terms of private network? You know, we're hearing a lot about private networks for enterprise applications. Is there anything that Boingo is working on that you're excited about in terms of private networks?
You know, we've been doing private networks for a long time. In the past, it was all focused on Wi-Fi. So, you know, when you'd go set up an airport Wi-Fi for individual users to use it, you then have all those shops inside the airport that need to be able to have a connectivity. So you go to places like Newark and you go order food on their touchless screens, right? We've been doing that for a long time. That's been out for a while. Now what we're seeing happening with these private networks is there's an opportunity to take these same private networks and help other use cases in the enterprise. So, you know, helping people get connected, helping cars get into parking spots, helping hospitals are going through huge changes because they're trying to figure out, how are we going to end up providing new experiences? Their people are working hard, right, with this pandemic, and they need help. And so part of that is you go into the hospital and everything's becoming digital. And so that's a fun area that we're working in. We announced that we're doing some hospitals now, and we're really enjoying working on those private networks because it's going to end up providing a better experience for us as we go to hospitals, and hopefully help some of those on the front lines that are getting exhausted by all the paperwork and everything else that they have to do.
Right, yeah, those healthcare workers definitely need all the help that they can get and support there, so that's great that you're working with them on that. And I also know that later today you're speaking on a panel about 5G core and virtualizing the core. Can you give us a sneak peek about what we might hear at that panel?
Yeah, you know what? The key thing has been we've been on a journey, right? And in connectivity, we saw that same journey in software where, you know, we saw open source Linux and we saw open source software coming out and being a big part of our environments. We're seeing the same thing with 5G. We're seeing virtualization moving from, okay, let's make things simpler. Now let's try to combine multiple things so that we have this open way of being able to do it. So APIs and platforms and standards are really focused on it. And we're excited about that because it's going to allow us to have more flexibility to bring these digital transformation experiences to the enterprise.
Right.
Not just the big airports and the big stadiums, but also to the enterprises. And so that's what's exciting. So that's a sneak peek. It's really an evolutionary journey that we'll be talking about in the panel.
Yeah, well, looking forward to checking that out. And we did hear this morning from a panel about the importance of remembering to focus on the enterprise and not just the consumer applications for 5G. So want to thank you for your time today. It was great catching up with you. Seeing you in person is so wonderful. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thanks.